Hi, my name is Jesse at Trash Panda, and this might just be the craziest disc I've ever seen. It's a translucent 12-speed, and it's incredibly flexible. Plus, the story behind it is super interesting. But to tell you that, I kind of have to go back to the beginning. So to talk about this disc, we kind of have to talk about the manufacturer first. And I actually have two discs from this manufacturer. As far as I can tell, from the bottom of each of them, it's called Paradigm Disc Golf. And immediately, this is where things get crazy interesting. Paradigm Disc Golf has like no information out there. All I can tell based on a couple of forums that were basically just saying, what even is this manufacturer? Paradigm Disc Golf existed very shortly in 2014 based out of Biloxi, Mississippi. During that year, they approved 3 separate discs: the Terrapin, the Bird Dog, and the Tiger. And while I'm no scientist, I think this has to be the Tiger. Now for a second, we're gonna put this disc aside and talk about the Tiger. The Tiger is also incredibly flexible, but interestingly enough, there is an injection point on the bottom of the disc. So while I'd think due to the flexibility that it was made of like a rubber or a silicone, based on the injection point, I have to assume that it's like a TPU, but just with a really low shore hardness. For example, if you know more about it, I'd have to guess this is somewhere around like a 70 to 75 shore A. Now that's getting into the weeds a little bit, but it'll come into play when we talk about this disc a little later on. But for now, I've never thrown both of these, so I want to give the Tiger a shot. So I couldn't find anything online about how this disc flies, but based on the profile of the disc, it looks to be pretty overstable. However, with discs that are super floppy like this, sometimes that leads to more understability. Honestly, we'll just have to see. So I'm gonna go flat and straight. We'll see what happens. Oh, that's nice, but it's pretty overstable. Yeah. Dang. I actually like that disc. So before I tell you the exact details of this disc, I want to tell you how I got both of these discs. At Trash Panda, we make discs out of recycled plastic. So ever since starting Trash Panda almost 3 years ago now, people have been sending us discs to recycle. Now, when it comes down to it, we're not a recycling facility nor a waste hauler, but there's one problem since day one that stuck out to me. Currently, around the world, there's not a single program or system designed to recycle discs. So the harsh reality is that if a Star or a Z or a 300G disc ended up at a recycling facility, more than likely it would end up just passing through to a landfill and not getting recycled. So needless to say, we've been receiving discs since our inception from people who wanted to donate them to be recycled, and that's actually how we got these 2 discs, but we've never been able to offer anything in return until now. Today, I am absolutely stoked to announce that we are launching the first ever disc recycling program. So if your dog got a hold of your Alias, or your Firebird just hit something and cracked on an extra cold day, if your Destroyer just hit 1 too many trees, or if you have a groove, we've officially developed a system to recycle those discs and give you a little thanks in return. Here's how it works. First, you can head over to the new disc recycling tab on our website, linked down in the description, to find our mailing address or even buy a shipping label directly from us to get our business discount. In return for doing something so rad, we'll then send you a discount code for your next order depending on the amount of discs you send. And then we're gonna recycle them. We've got some creative things in the works, including recycling discs into new discs or minis, sending them off to our friends to make into recycled flight towels, or even some other creative products we've got in the works. But what about discs that are still good to be thrown like these ones? I'm glad you asked. Rather than grinding them down, we're also super stoked to be partnering up with our friends over at Uplay to make sure that any disc that is still good to be thrown will be donated to a school in need. So basically, any disc they receive that isn't good to be donated will get recycled, and any disc we receive that isn't good to be recycled will get donated. I mean, 3 years ago, this was literally a dream, and now it's a reality. All because of discs like these, the people who sent them in, and now people like you. So seriously, thank you so much for helping make this dream possible. All right, enough dilly-dally. We need to throw this disc because I am so curious on how it flies, and then we'll talk about the super interesting story behind it. So this will be my first throw ever with this disc, and I have no idea how it flies. Based on the profile, I'm guessing neutral to overstable, but I have no idea, so I'm just gonna hang it wide, give it some air, and see what happens. I am so curious about this. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's pretty beefy, honestly. But it's also parked, so, wow. All right, this is where things get super interesting. So this disc, as you may remember, was made by Paradigm Disc Golf. Now they made 3 discs, the Terrapin, the Bird Dog, and the Tiger, which we threw previously. Interestingly enough though, this is none of those. Apparently, this is a 12-speed prototype that never got PDGA approved. And if you remember, we talked about the injection point in the bottom. This also doesn't have an injection point. So this must be made out of rubber or silicone. I don't know which, but I'm guessing silicone. And most interestingly of all, when I was digging around on Reddit and DG Course Review, deep into forums, I found one person who mentioned that this disc was a prototype where only 100 were made, which means this is 1 out of 100. Crazy enough, that's literally where my knowledge on this disc ends, because there's like no information online. So I thought this was the perfect opportunity to let you, if you know any information, let us know in the comments. And if there's anything that stands out, I'll go ahead and pin that comment so the rest of us can learn from you. After all, disc golf is like a lot of insider knowledge about different runs and stuff like that, so I'm figuring someone who's watching this video might just know a little bit more about this disc. Also, if you don't know more, but based simply on the stamp, you want to give it a name, what would you name this disc? So I don't know about you, but this has to be the most unique and rarest disc I've ever seen. And I'm gonna give it a throw one more time, and hopefully we get some more insights in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to support the channel, and we'll see you next time. For those of you who stuck around till the end, I've got a little icing on the cake for you. I've got 2 discs here from another defunct manufacturer called RIP Disc Golf, RIP. Apparently they were an Oregon-based manufacturer that had 3 PDGA approved discs back in 2011 and 2012. The Ballistic, the Relic, and the Graboid. And Graboid is just an unreal name for a disc, but unfortunately I don't have one of those. Now this is where it gets super interesting on these ones. The Ballistic was apparently like a normal style disc, but the Relic and the Graboid were overmolded, meaning that I have no idea what this disc is, because it was clearly made by RIP Disc Golf, but there's no information anywhere on it that would point to what it is, and no other manufacturer's markings on the bottom. So, if you know what this disc is, it also seems to be rare, and I'm super curious what it would be. And if by some off chance RIP Disc Golf is watching this video, I think that no other brand has the unique marketing and branding potential that RIP has, so please, for all of us, come back.